हे गाइस, कैसे हो आप सभी। उम्मीद करता हूँ सभी लोग मस्त रहोगे, मजे में रहोगे और बढ़िया काम करते रहोगे। So yeah, welcome to the third video of building your own custom ChatGPT series. In this video, what we are going to do is we will be converting the executed chunks into embeddings and then storing the embeddings into a ChromaDB using GitHub Actions. So yeah, we will be introducing GitHub Actions and automations in this particular series. So without any further delay, let's get into the video. So basically GitHub Actions are something which are triggered whenever there is a change that happens over onto your code or onto your branches. So we will be understanding how do we trigger a workflow, how to automatically trigger GitHub action workflows. So for this, basically there are some tokens that we need to, add into the repository to perform the tasks. Basically, this is how the workflow looks like. Don't worry, we will be explaining you what are the things that happens over here in the entire series. So let's get into GitHub first and let's push our project into the GitHub repository. So I'll have the window over here and let's create a new repository. We will create the repository by the name second brain YouTube. Okay, and let's keep it public, nothing else. Okay, we'll create a repository and we'll push up the basic changes into the repo. Okay, we'll close this. We'll have git init, not git int, git init, git remote, add origin, and git status. Okay, git add, git commit -m, just as was what developers do when they're creating new project. Initial commit. If you are a developer, comment down and git push origin main. Okay, so we'll have all our changes over here. Okay, no need to worry on that. The first thing that we need to do is basically change something in the ingest.js, wherein we will be adding the logic to save it into ChromaDB first. So we'll have await collection dot add. What are we adding? We'll be adding the IDs, which will be mapping of the chunks with the index, and we will be storing giving it as the file path. So dollar file path dollar index. Okay, index. Next would be the documents, which are the chunks that we are converted. Next are the metadata. Metadata are basically used to fetch and add metadata for each of the record. So it will be the mapping of the chunks with, I'll not have index, I'll just have I. And first would be the file path and also the metadata, the file path and the chunk index. After this is done, we'll just say, or we'll just print on the console.log ingested the chunks. We'll just have, let's say, the chunks length, chunks from the given file. Okay, so this is basically the ingestion function completed that we'll be using throughout the entire project. First to convert the text into chunks and then storing the chunks into the ChromaDB. Okay, this thing is done. Now let's get into creating our first GitHub action workflow. Okay, so we have this. So now to create any workflows on GitHub Actions, we will have to go on to GitHub Actions and then set up your own workflow. You can either go by this, or what you can do is create a folder in the root directory. I'll close this. Create a folder in the root directory with the name .github and /workflows. Inside that, you can have the workflow with your name. So I'll just have the workflow with the name convert to embeddings.yml. Always remember the workflows or the GitHub action workflows that you are creating will always be in the form of YML. So let's go by step on understanding what is happening here. The first thing would be the name. Name meaning the name that you want to give to your workflow. I'll just give ingest knowledge 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 base. Okay. Next, what to happen? Meaning what happens when you trigger this workflow and when it should be triggered. So on, it would be push and on the given paths. And here the path that we have is knowledge. Okay. Everything inside, whenever there is any change or whenever there are files pushed inside the knowledge folder, this GitHub action will be triggered. Okay. Now let us set up some jobs that we want to perform. The first job is to ingest. The job name could be anything. And the next thing, where it should run. Here, Ubuntu latest means that there are some machines that are available on GitHub on which these jobs can run. So we will just by default give it as the Ubuntu latest version. It will run on Ubuntu latest, and these are the steps that we need the action to perform. The first name, to check out the repo, and it uses the action slash checkout, and this should be here. Okay. Yeah. Next thing is to detect changed files. Okay, if there are any file changes. The first thing is to detect the change file. So we'll just remove the ID from detect change files to, let's say, changes. Changes. And then what does it use? It uses tj actions slash changed files at the rate version 4. These are basically the actions that we are calling from any other repository which are already created by other users with the files that are present inside the knowledge folder. Okay. This is the second step that we want to perform. And the third step would be we will ingest the changed files. Okay. And we will be taking some values from the environment variables. So we will have an env variable here, wherein we will be adding two things. The first thing is ingest API URL, which will be our https slash slash localhost slash 3000 slash API slash ingest. Okay. The next thing that we will be using is the ingest API key, which we will be creating on GitHub. Let's do one thing. Let's create it right now. To create that, we'll go to settings. We will have secrets and variables and actions. There, we need a repository secret. We'll create a new secret with the same name, ingest API key. So I'll just have the ingest API keys as coding Adda's second brain. Okay, coding Adda's second brain. We'll add the secret over there. Okay. Now is the main logic that we need the GitHub action to perform. So we'll iterate into the files inside that. So for file in dollar steps dot changes dot outputs dot all changed files, do what? First, echo to let the user know that we are ingesting the file. Next, to make a post request, curl ingest API URL along with the authorization API key and everything else, the file path, the files and everything. The file content type is obviously application.json. And then what we will do here is we'll have the argument path. Here we'll have hyphen data as jq hyphen n, and then the arg path as file path. This will be a path, not file path, as the file, and the second thing would be content, which will be the contents of the entire file. For now, we don't need the test mode, and we will return the content and the file path. Okay. So what are these things? Let us give it to the agent to help us understand what are these things. So let's copy this. Let's copy the file from here to here. I'll just say, please explain me what is the convert to embeddings.yml action, and if there are any issues in the code. Okay. So basically, as a developer, what you can do is whenever there is any issue that you are facing, if you are not understanding anything, agents like this help you understand the things and have your project build a better version. So what does it say here is the GitHub action automatically ingests markdown files from your folder, runs on any push that modifies in GitHub in knowledge folder. This means whenever you add or update a markdown file in the knowledge folder, this action runs. It clones the repository, detects changes in the files, and ingests the file changes. Okay, there are some code issues that it says. Obviously, yeah, the first one is we are using localhost 3000. GitHub Actions cannot refer to a GitHub runner, which is running on our local machine. So for that, we will have to do a port forwarding. Okay, so for that, there is something called Ngrok. Okay, Ngrok is basically an API gateway that is used by everyone. So what we'll do is we'll get started for free, and we'll sign up with Google. Let me do one thing. Let me go to, no, let me just go with this one. This account only I'll create. So we have to install Ngrok. Okay. So what I'll do here, I'll have this cleared and brew install Ngrok. It is auto update. I already have the Ngrok installed, so it's auto updating this. Ngrok basically helps us to port forward an endpoint that we are currently using on our local, and we want it to test in production. So it's fetching the downloads for Ngrok right here. That's I think around 10 MB. What are the other issues that I see? Steps.changes optional chaining does not work on GitHub Actions. Okay, so I need to just remove this question mark from everywhere, I guess. Yes, I need to remove that. Shell syntax is broken. It should be $JQ space dot dot dot. Where is this space dot 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 dot? And trial comma missing in JSON is invalid. Remove the trailing comma after content. Okay, remove this. Missing done or close loop for. Okay. What I'll do is after this is done, I'll just add done. What are the issues? Invalid action type files with, it should be working well. Okay. Let me ask it to explain and fix this issue. Yeah, until then, now we have installed the Ngrok. Now we will have to add an authentication token to authenticate it, and I'll just add Ngrok config. It is saved here. Now what it does is, since our port is running on localhost 3000, I will just do npm run dev. Okay, cd second brain npm run dev. Now we see the port is running on 2000. Okay, I'll just say to the agent, please stop the port running on 3000 from your side, so that we can make it run from here and then port forward it so that it works on production or whenever the GitHub action is triggered. npm run dev. Okay, localhost 3000. Now what we'll do is we'll have ngrok http and the port number. So ngrok http 3000. Okay, so what you can see here is the HTTP localhost 3000 is now forwarded to this given URL. Okay, so even if you go to localhost 3000, you will be able to see our Next.js app landing page. But if you go to this site also, you will be able to see our Next.js landing page. Okay, meaning the contents are the same, but the only thing is the port is being forwarded. So we will update this entire thing to this. Okay, so what we have done here is basically port forwarded the contents here so that we can test our API URL. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's keep the Ngrok open so that we have our contents running, and we will submit the GitHub action. So to test it if it is working well or not. So git add, git commit -m, adding the embedding GitHub action. Okay, git push origin main. There is one thing still left to add into the route to store it into the DB, but we will just see how the GitHub actions are triggered. We have our knowledge base ready here, and since there are no other changes in the knowledge base, it is not triggered by anyone. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's first update this to store the data into the ChromaDB, and then make some changes into the sample nodes.md and then trigger the GitHub actions again. Okay, so we'll just remove this as said by Claude Opus. After converting into the hash, the first thing that we are going to see is check if the file already is ingested with same hash. Okay, so const existing equal to await collection dot get, where the file path includes the metadata. Okay, because we need to check if it is actually present or not. The reason being, if we don't check it, then there would be an additional embedding present already with the same hash. So for that, we need this to work perfectly fine. So here we'll also have to define the collection, const collection equal to await get or create collection with the name second way. Okay, we checked it if it is already present or not. Now const existing hash equal to existing, if the existing has the metadatas, then give me the first file hash. Okay, existing hash. Now if the existing hash and the older file hash are the same, we will say file is already ingested and the status is, and return the status as 200. And what we will do is delete the old chunks, await collection dot delete where the file path is there, file path. Okay, and I'll just remove this and this. Now we'll delete the old chunks and then ingest the new content. So await ingest text into Chroma. The first thing would be the collection name as second brain, then file path, then content, and then the file hash, which will be parsed into an integer format, parseInt from the file hash along with the value bit as 16. Okay, and then we'll return the response in a JSON format as status is ingested, and this is the file path. Okay, so this is basically the ingestion logic that we have applied. Now let's say I make some changes here. This is how the machine learning industry is growing. Okay, let's now make the changes and set up in the let's now push the changes into GitHub to test the GitHub action. Git commit -m updated the route to save data into DB. Git push origin name. Okay, let's go there and let's see if the check-in is done, if the code is done. Okay, updated route saved to the DB. Now if we see, we have our workflow running, meaning we made a change into the knowledge folder and then the GitHub action got triggered. The same thing can be applied when you are checking in or doing a merge request from a main branch to a dev branch or collaborating with multiple people. So let's see. Okay, there is some failure that we see. There is some failure while ingesting the files. Unexpected end of file while looking for matching this. Okay, what is the error here? /API /ingest. If we click here, page is not working. Why? 405 method not allowed. Why so? Let us give it to the agent and ask it. Why is the ingest API not working? It gives me 405 not file or sorry method not allowed. Because I will honestly tell you, this is the way that I create projects. If there is some issue I am not able to understand, rather than going on to the Google and going on to ChatGPT, I just go on to this and understand it the way I want it. So there is some issue with the JQ command, mal from curl command. So I'll just have to make the change here. Okay, it already made the change. No need for me to do it. Okay, Ngrok URL might have changed. I don't think the Ngrok URL has changed. It's super populated lately. The same thing. Predef, yes, it's the same thing. I'll git add git commit -m fix call command in workflow git push origin main. Okay, and then what we'll do, we'll try to rerun that entire GitHub action. Okay, we have this action and we'll just say we'll have some changes made here as well. These are the applications of machine learning. Okay, I'll just give the commit as made some changes in the KB meaning the knowledge base. Git push origin main. It should work now. Let us refresh it. Made some changes in the KB. Let's see. The GitHub runner is picking the job. We have checked out. It is detecting it ingested files. It ingested files and we see our post checkout job is done. Let's get into the ChromaDB. Where is it? Where is it? Here. And if we refresh it, it should be able to save the data into the DB. Okay, the data is still not saved into the DB. Why so? Let's see. Okay, there is some other things. API /ingest internal server error. Okay, there are some other errors that we see. Cannot instantiate a collection with default embedding function. Please install Chroma core default embed or provide a different embedding function. Okay, we'll install the default embed. So npm install npm I chroma core default embed. Basically, what Chroma does is Chroma has its default embedding structure, by which if you don't want to add any other dependency on any other packages for embedding your content, what you can do is you can use Chroma core so that it can directly be embedded by Chroma. Okay, so I'll just say this is one more change here. Okay, and we'll just push it. Git add, git commit, made some more changes in the kb part 2, and then we'll just push it. Git push origin main. Okay, and let's go here. Let's see for the third one, and I think that would work fine. We will just have to see on to this console if everything is working fine or not. Compiling, it's getting compiled. Yes, post API 200. Now it should be present. Yes, yes, guys, we have the GitHub action working completely fine. You can see it converted into 4 chunks. Earlier it was 3, and when you click here, you can actually see what are the metadata, what are the document embeddings, and what are the nearest neighbors for those particular documents. Okay, this is the file hash, this is the file path, everything you can see present over here. Now that we have the data stored into the vector DB, next thing is to set up a UI for the front end. And mind you, I'll not be coding a single line for the UI. I'll completely give the prompts to Google Anti-Gravity so that it can create the front end and give me a good looking UI. So this was it for the video. There are a lot of new concepts that we are learning in this entire series, and I hope I'm able to explain the things in a much better manner or in a clearer way. If you have any concerns, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section given below. See you guys in the next one. Until then, bye bye.